The conference chamber fell silent as Ambassador Rel pressed the display controls. Holographic images flickered to life above the curved table where 12 species representatives sat in their designated sections. Earth hung in the projection like a blue marble suspended in darkness. Distinguished council members, Rel began, his translator device humming softly against his throat. We must discuss the humans. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Everyone had heard stories about the species from the third planet. They walked on two legs, built cities that scraped their skies, and split atoms before leaving their home world. But none of that concerned the council as much as what Rel was about to show them. The hologram shifted. Now it displayed a human face in extreme detail. Two eyes stared forward from the front of the skull, not positioned on the sides like proper prey species. The mouth opened to reveal flat, grinding teeth mixed with sharp, pointed ones designed for tearing meat. Binocular vision. Dr. Mira spoke from her seat, her four-eye stalks weaving patterns as she analyzed the data. Predator, trait number 1. They sacrifice peripheral awareness for depth perception. This allows precise distance calculation when pursuing prey. Rel nodded and changed the image again. A human ran across an open plain, chasing a four-legged animal that bounded ahead in panicked leaps. Persistence hunting, Rel explained. Humans lack speed compared to their prey. Instead, they simply never stop chasing. Their prey runs until exhaustion kills it. Sometimes this takes hours. The human just keeps coming. Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The plenary representative covered two of her eye stalks with thin membranes. The vendor delegation whispered among themselves in their clicking language. We have documented them consuming other species, Rel continued. Images showed humans eating various earth creatures. Fish, birds, mammals, even other primates genetically similar to themselves. Their entire civilization is built on a foundation of predation. Have they shown aggression toward other sapient species? Asked the head counselor, an ancient Vorth whose skin had faded to pale gray with age. No confirmed cases, Rel admitted, but our observation period has been limited. Only 40 years of monitoring from orbital platforms. What about their wars? Someone called from the back sections. Rel pulled up new footage. Human soldiers moved through destroyed cities. Vehicles rolled across barren landscapes, trailing smoke. Explosions lit the night sky. Two major planetary conflicts in the 20th century alone, Rel said. Millions dead. They developed weapons capable of destroying their entire world and came very close to using them. Multiple times. And yet they stopped. The head counselor observed. They did not destroy themselves. Correct, Dr. Mira interjected. Our psychological profiles suggest they possess unusual self-control for a predator species. They create elaborate social rules to govern behavior. Laws, ethics, moral frameworks. They even established areas where hunting is completely forbidden to preserve other species. Stockholm Syndrome on a planetary scale, muttered one representative. Predators playing at being civilized. Rel brought up the final set of images. Humans in various activities. Playing with domesticated predators they called dogs. Caring for injured animals. Building enclosures to protect endangered species from extinction. They claim they have evolved beyond their predatory nature, Rel said carefully. They want to join the galactic community as peaceful explorers and traders. They have submitted formal applications for observer status. The chamber erupted in debate. Some argued for immediate rejection. Others suggested limited contact under strict supervision. A few cautiously noted that humans might bring valuable perspectives precisely because they understood predation from the inside. The head counselor raised one massive hand for silence. The room obeyed. We will grant provisional observer status, the ancient Vorth announced. But we will send a delegation to Earth to assess them directly. Not from orbit. We will walk among them and see what they truly are. Rel felt his throat sacs tighten with anxiety, but bowed his head in acceptance. This was the compromised position he had expected. I volunteer to lead the delegation, he said. Accepted. You will take Dr. Mira as your scientific advisor. We will also assign observers Quinn and Hess from the Peacekeepers. They will ensure your safety should the humans prove dangerous. Dr. Mira approached Rel as the council chamber emptied. Her primary eye stalk focused on him with concern. "Do you truly believe this is wise?" she asked quietly. Rel watched the hologram of Earth slowly rotating in the empty chamber. Clouds swirled over oceans. Lights dotted the night side where human cities glowed. "I believe we must understand them," he said. "If they are as dangerous as our data suggests, we need to know now, before they develop faster travel, before they spread beyond their solar system. And if they are not dangerous?" Rel considered the question. He thought about the images of humans protecting other species, caring for their sick and elderly, creating art and music. None of that fit the profile of a simple predator. "Then perhaps," he said slowly, "we have much to learn about what predators can become." 3 weeks later, Rel stood in the cargo hold of a diplomatic shuttle as it descended through Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Mira checked her equipment beside him. Observers Quinn and Hess inspected their protective gear and non-lethal weapons. Just in case, through the viewport, Rel watched mountains rise from the land below. Snow-covered peaks gave way to dense forests. A small settlement appeared ahead, nestled in a valley. Timber Ridge, Montana. Population 3,000. The perfect location to study humans in what their files called a rural environment. The shuttle touched down in an open field outside town. Rel took a deep breath, filling his lungs with filtered ship air one last time. "Remember," he told his team, "observe everything. Trust nothing. These are predators we are about to meet." The cargo door opened. Fresh Earth air rushed in, carrying scents of pine and grass, and something else Rel could not identify. He stepped forward into the sunlight, and his first thought was how impossibly blue the sky looked. His second thought was interrupted by the sound of approaching vehicles. Humans were coming to meet them. The assessment had begun. 3 pickup trucks rolled to a stop 20 meters from the landed shuttle. Dust settled slowly in the mountain air. Rel watched through his visor as humans emerged from the vehicles, moving with easy confidence that made his instincts scream warnings. The first human out was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing dark clothing with metal badges that caught the sunlight. He removed reflective eye coverings to reveal those unsettling forward-facing eyes. A genuine smile crossed his weathered face. "Welcome to Montana," the human called out in clear galactic standard. "I am Sheriff Roy Callahan. We've been expecting you." Rel forced himself to walk forward, acutely aware of how the human's gaze tracked his movement with predator precision. They met in the middle of the field. Roy extended his hand in the human greeting gesture. After a moment's hesitation, Rel reached out and felt warm skin grip his own appendage firmly, but not threateningly. "Thank you for hosting us, Sheriff Callahan," Rel managed. "Just Roy, please," the human said. He gestured to the others climbing from the trucks. "These folks are from various federal agencies. They'll handle the official paperwork. But I'm your actual host for the duration. Timber Ridge is my town, and I'll make sure you're comfortable here." Dr. Mira stepped up beside Rel, her eye stalks weaving through their analysis patterns. Roy noticed, and his smile widened. "That must give you amazing peripheral vision," he said to her. "We humans are practically blind to our sides. Evolution traded awareness for targeting ability." The casual acknowledgement of predatory adaptation made Rel's throat sacs tighten. At least the human was honest about his nature. They were driven into town in one of the trucks. Rel sat in the back section, noting how the vehicle had clearly been designed for pursuits. Powerful engine, heavy construction, mounted lighting systems that could illuminate prey during night hunts. Timber Ridge appeared around a curve in the road. Simple buildings lined a main street. Humans walked on pathways, entered shops, talked in small groups. Children ran and played in an open space, their high-pitched vocalizations carrying on the wind. "Town hall meeting starts in an hour," Roy explained as they parked near a large wooden structure. "Everyone wants to meet you. We've never had alien visitors before. This is pretty exciting for us." The meeting hall filled quickly. Rel counted over 200 humans crowding into the space, young and old, all radiating curiosity rather than fear. That alone seemed wrong. Prey species feared the unknown. These humans acted like they were the safest creatures in the room. Roy made introductions. Rel delivered his prepared statement about peaceful observation and cultural exchange. The humans asked questions that revealed surprising sophistication about galactic politics and exobiology. Several mentioned reading scientific papers published by vendor researchers. They had studied his species before he studied theirs. After the official meeting, Roy introduced them to a human woman named Beth Harrison. She wore practical outdoor clothing and had the lean, weathered look of someone who spent considerable time in natural environments. Beth runs our wilderness survival school, Roy explained. She knows these mountains better than anyone. Figured she'd be a good guide for you. Beth shook hands with each team member, her grip confident and capable. Rel noticed calluses on her palms, evidence of physical labor. Tools, perhaps. Or weapons. I teach people how to live off the land, Beth explained as they walked through town. Tracking, foraging, shelter building, fire starting. The old skills our ancestors used. Hunting skills, Observer Quinn said quietly behind Rel. Beth either didn't hear or chose to ignore the comment. She led them past various establishments. A medical clinic, a school building where young humans learned, a store that sold outdoor equipment. Then they reached a shop that made Rel stop walking. The windows displayed weapons. Rifles, bows, knives. The sign above read, Timber Ridge Sporting Goods. Is this where humans acquire hunting implements? Dr. Mira asked, her voice carefully neutral. Some folks hunt, Beth acknowledged. Deer, elk, birds. It's regulated, though. Strict seasons, bag limits, licensing requirements. Most people I know who hunt do it for the meat, not sport. Feeding their families the old way. Inside the shop, mounted animal heads decorated the walls. Deceased prey preserved as trophies. The human behind the counter greeted Beth warmly and nodded politely to the visitors. That evening, Roy showed them to their accommodations in a building the humans called a bed and breakfast. The owner, an elderly woman named Grace, fussed over them like they were fragile younglings. She offered food, blankets, and constant reassurance that they were safe. Don't you worry about a thing, Grace said, patting Rel's arm with gentle affection. Timber Ridge is the safest place on Earth. Nothing bad happens here. After she left, the team gathered in Rel's room to debrief. They display predatory markers at every turn, Quinn reported. Poursuit véhiculas. Weapon shops. Trophy collections. That woman, Beth, openly admits to teaching stalking and tracking techniques. Yet they seem genuinely peaceful, Dr. Mira countered. Welcoming, even. The elder female showed protective behavior toward us, not aggressive. Domesticated predators can appear docile, Hess noted, until something triggers their hunting instinct. Rel moved to the window. Outside, human children played a game in the fading light. They chased each other in patterns that looked disturbingly like pack hunting exercises, practicing for their future roles that a knock at the door made everyone tense. Roy entered, carrying a tray with steaming cups. Thought you might like some hot chocolate, he said. It's a local favorite. Sweet drink made from plant seeds. Nothing predatory about it, I promise. He set the tray down and paused, studying their expressions. You're afraid of us, he said simply. Not a question. Rel considered lying but discarded the impulse. Your species exhibits numerous predatory adaptations. Roy nodded slowly. We do. No point denying our evolution. But we're more than our biology, Ambassador. That's what we're hoping you'll see. After Roy left, Rel sipped the hot chocolate. It was indeed sweet and surprisingly pleasant. He composed his evening report to the council, carefully noting every concerning observation. At the end, he added one line that troubled him. The humans acknowledge their predatory nature without shame or aggression. They appear to have integrated it into their identity rather than suppressed it. Implications unknown. Continued observation required. He sent the report and tried to sleep, but his rest was broken by dreams of humans running endlessly through forests, never stopping, always pursuing something just out of sight. Dawn broke over the mountains with spectacular color. painting snow-covered peaks in shades of orange and pink. Rel barely noticed the beauty. He was too focused on the unusual activity filling Timber Ridge's main street. Humans loaded equipment into vehicles with practiced efficiency. Radio chatter crackled through the air. Someone hauled what looked like tracking equipment from a building marked Wildlife Management. Another truck pulled up carrying crates labeled tranquilizer supplies and medical equipment. Beth found them outside the bed and breakfast, already dressed in sturdy outdoor gear with a backpack slung over her shoulders. "Ready for the big day?" she asked cheerfully. "What exactly is happening?" Dr. Myra's eye stalks weaved nervously. "The hunt," Beth said simply. "Biggest operation of the year. Been planning it for 3 weeks now. Thought you'd want to see what we're really about." Rel felt his throat sacs constrict. A hunt. The humans were openly inviting them to observe a hunt. He exchanged glances with Quinn and Hess, seeing his own concern reflected in their expressions. "How many humans participate in this hunt?" he asked carefully. "Last count was about 300, Beth replied, checking her gear. "Folks coming from all over Montana. Some from Wyoming and Idaho, too. We got air support this year. 2 helicopters and a drone team. 300 hunters. Aerial support. Military-level coordination for a hunt." Rel's fingers trembled as he activated his recording equipment. The council needed to see this. Roy pulled up in his truck, now accompanied by 2 more official-looking vehicles. People in uniforms emerged carrying equipment that looked disturbingly like weapons. Long-barreled devices, holstered items at their hips. Protective vests. "That's the DART team," Beth explained, noticing Rel's stare. "Best shots in 3 counties. They'll be doing the close work." DART team, close work. The terminology made Rel's blood run cold. They loaded into Roy's truck along with 2 humans introduced as Phil and Dale. Phil wore a uniform labeled Animal Control and carried multiple devices on his belt. Dale was older, his face weathered by decades of outdoor exposure, and he had the calm confidence of an experienced hunter. "We've been tracking this pack for weeks," Dale said as they drove into the mountains. "Finally got a solid location. Weather's perfect today. No wind to carry our scent. Pack hunting. Scent concealment." This was textbook predatory behavior. The convoy of vehicles stretched for half a kilometer along the mountain road. Trucks, all-terrain vehicles, support vehicles with communication arrays. Humans coordinated through radio systems with military precision. "Grid 7. We have thermal signatures," a voice crackled over the radio, confirming multiple targets in the ravine system. "Roger that." Teams 3 and 5 moved to intercept positions, another voice responded. Rel recorded everything. The tactical language, the coordinated movement, the cold efficiency. They parked in a clearing where humans gathered around a large map spread across a vehicle hood. Someone pointed to various positions while others nodded and dispersed to their assigned locations. "We've got them boxed in," Phil explained, seemingly unaware of how terrifying his words sounded. "The ravine only has 2 exits. We'll seal both ends and work our way in. Shouldn't take more than a few hours." Beth led the alien team to an observation point on higher ground. Below them, the ravine system stretched through rocky terrain dotted with scrubby vegetation. Rel could see humans taking positions along the ridges, moving with practiced silence. "There," Dale whispered, pointing. Movement in the ravine below. Multiple shapes moving between rocks. Rel adjusted his visual sensors and felt genuine shock. The prey was large. Powerful looking. Definitely predatory in their own right based on their movements. They looked like Earth's wolves, but bigger, with unusual coloring patterns. "Hybrid wolf dogs," Beth said quietly. "Someone bred them illegally and then abandoned them when they got too big. They've been living wild for months now. Attacking livestock," Dale added, his voice hard. "Killed 3 calves last week. Spooked horses. Threatened hikers on the North Trail." Below them, the human teams tightened their formation. The helicopter appeared over the ridge, its rotating blades beating the air with rhythmic thunder. The creatures in the ravine panicked, running toward what they perceived as escape routes. Humans waited at each exit, Rel watched in fascination and horror as the trap closed with perfect coordination. The creatures had no chance against this level of organized pursuit. "First team, you're clear," Phil's voice came over the radio. "Remember, we want them alive if possible. Dart shots only. Watch your angles." The humans below raised their long-barreled devices. Soft popping sounds echoed off the ravine walls. Rel saw projectiles fly with remarkable accuracy. One of the large wolf hybrids yelped and stumbled. Another tried to flee but collapsed after several steps. "Good shots," Dale murmured approvingly. "Clean takes." More creatures fell to the tranquilizer darts. The humans moved in, still cautious, still coordinated. They surrounded each fallen animal, checking them carefully before securing them with specialized equipment. "We've got 9 confirmed," someone reported over the radio. "All breathing, all stable. Bringing them up now." Humans carried the sedated creatures from the ravine on specially designed stretchers. Each animal was handled with surprising care despite their obvious danger. Rel watched as Phil examined each one, checking vital signs, making notes on a datapad. "This is the deadliest hunt in America," Dr. Miro whispered, confused. "They're capturing them, not killing them." Rel shook his head slowly. "I do not understand what we are witnessing." Beth overhead and smiled slightly. "Come on, you need to see the rest of this." They followed her down to where humans gathered around the captured creatures. A truck arrived, carrying more equipment. Veterinary supplies, medical instruments. The humans worked with focused intensity, examining each animal point. One of the younger creatures stirred, whimpering. A human woman knelt beside it, speaking in soft tones, stroking its fur with gentle hands. The creature's eyes opened, wild with fear and sedation, but the woman kept talking, kept touching, radiating calm. Dale approached the alien team, his weathered face thoughtful. "I've hunted my whole life," he said quietly. "Deer, elk, birds for food. But this," he gestured at the scene below, "this is what hunting has become for us. We track down suffering and we end it, one way or another." Rel stared at the old hunter, trying to process his words. Around them, 300 humans worked to save the lives of dangerous predators who had threatened their community. Nothing in the galactic database had prepared him for this. Portable examination tables lined the clearing like temporary hospitals. Each sedated wolf hybrid rested on padded surfaces while humans worked over them with careful attention. Rel moved closer, his recording equipment capturing every detail. "This one's about 18 months old," a woman in veterinary clothing announced, running a scanning device over a large male. "Malnourished. Severe dehydration. Infected wound on the rear left leg, probably from wire fencing." Another vet worked on a smaller female. "Broken tooth here. See how the gum is swollen? That's been causing pain for weeks at least. She probably couldn't eat properly." Phil coordinated the operation with practiced efficiency, moving between animals and calling out instructions. "Get that one on 4 fluids immediately. This female needs antibiotics started now." Someone call the sanctuary in Billings and confirm they have space for 3 juveniles. Rel watched a young human carefully clean the infected wound on the male's leg. The hybrid could have torn the human apart if conscious. Yet this person worked with gentle precision, murmuring soft words the creature could not even hear. "I don't understand," Rel said to Beth. "You organized this massive operation to capture dangerous predators, but now you are healing them." Beth knelt beside one of the younger animals, stroking its rough fur. "These aren't dangerous predators, Ambassador. They're victims. Some idiot thought breeding wolf hybrids would be profitable. When they got too big and too wild, he dumped them in the mountains to die. They've been starving, suffering, attacking livestock out of desperation. So you hunt them down," Quinn said, still confused. "We rescue them," Beth corrected firmly. "Hunting is what created this problem. Some human decided these animals were products he could sell. When that failed, he treated them as disposable. We're here to fix his mistake." Roy joined them, his expression grim. "The FBI tracked down the breeder yesterday. Found his property in Idaho. 50 more animals in terrible conditions. All confiscated. He's facing federal charges for animal cruelty, illegal breeding, and about a dozen other violations. You hunt your own species. Dr. Myra's eye stalks coiled with surprise. When they deserve it, Roy said flatly. That man caused tremendous suffering for profit. He'll face justice. A larger transport vehicle arrived, equipped with climate control compartments. Humans carefully loaded each sedated animal, securing them safely for travel. Phil consulted his datapad and made assignments. These forgo to the rehabilitation center in Helena. They're young enough and social enough to possibly rehome after treatment. The two juveniles head to the educational sanctuary in Bozeman. They'll never be fully domestic, but they can teach people about wolf behavior and conservation. What about the others? Rel asked. Phil's expression darkened. 3 of them are too far gone. Too old, too traumatized, too dangerous to ever trust again. They've lived wild too long and suffered too much. We'll euthanize them humanely at the facility. Give them peace. Rel watched as humans loaded one of the oldest males into a separate vehicle. The animal's ribs showed through its coat. Scars crisscrossed its face and body. Even sedated, it looked haunted. Dale stood beside the vehicle, one weathered hand resting on the animal's head. You had a rough life, old boy, he said quietly. But it ends gentle. I promise you that. Tears tracked down the old hunter's face. This human who had tracked and captured the creature now cried for its suffering. Rel felt his understanding of predators crack and reshape. Over the next hour, Rel witnessed something the Galactic database had no category for. Humans working with coordinated intensity not to kill, but to save. The same skills that made them deadly hunters now directed toward healing. The same persistence that let them chase prey for hours now focused on rehabilitation efforts that a young woman approached, introducing herself as Amy from the Helena Rehabilitation Center. She carried specialized equipment and spoke with passionate expertise. We'll start behavioral therapy immediately, she explained to Phil. The younger ones have good prospects. Wolf hybrids bond strongly if you earn their trust. It takes months, sometimes years, but it's possible. What does this therapy involve? Dr. Mira asked, fascinated despite herself. Amy pulled up images on her datapad showing previous rescue cases. Patients mostly. We give them safe spaces, regular food, medical care. Then we start building trust through consistency and positive reinforcement. Some become therapy animals eventually, helping humans with trauma or illness. Predators helping predators, Rel murmured. We're all just trying to survive, Amy said with a slight smile. These animals didn't ask to be bred in captivity or dumped in the wild. They deserve better than suffering because of human mistakes. The transport vehicles began departing, carrying their precious cargo to various facilities across multiple states. Rel noted the coordination involved. Hundreds of humans across vast distances working together to save 9 suffering creatures. The resource investment seemed irrational from a pure survival standpoint. Why? Rel finally asked Roy. Your species fought wars over resources. You have poverty and hunger in your own populations. Why spend so much effort on animals that threaten your livestock? Roy was quiet for a moment, watching the last transport disappear down the mountain road. Because we can, he said finally. We have the knowledge, the resources, the ability to help. That creates responsibility. Maybe that's what separates us from other predators. We choose to protect instead of just consume. Not all humans make that choice, Quinn pointed out, thinking of the breeder. No, Roy agreed. But enough of us do that it matters. Enough of us care that we built systems to catch the ones who don't. Laws to protect the vulnerable. Organizations dedicated to rescue and rehabilitation. That's civilization, I guess. Using our predator instincts to hunt down suffering instead of prey. As they drove back to Timber Ridge, Rel reviewed his recordings. 300 humans mobilizing for a rescue operation. Military precision applied to saving lives. Hunters crying over the animals they captured. Euthanasia described as giving peace rather than ending life. His report to the council that night took hours to compose. How could he explain what he had witnessed? How could words capture the fundamental contradiction of humans being both predator and protector? Finally, he wrote simply, humans have weaponized their hunting instincts against suffering itself. They pursue rescue with the same intensity their ancestors pursued prey. I do not know if this makes them more dangerous or less. I only know we have never encountered anything like them before. He sent the report and sat in the darkness of his room, listening to the quiet sounds of Timber Ridge settling into sleep. Somewhere out there, 9 wolf hybrids were beginning journeys toward healing or peaceful ends, all because humans decided that being predators meant protecting the vulnerable, not exploiting them. Rain fell softly on Timber Ridge 5 days after the rescue operation. Rel stood at his window watching water run down the glass in winding patterns. His communicator chimed with another message from the council demanding explanations for his confusing reports. He ignored it. Beth arrived after breakfast with an invitation. Road trip today, if you're interested. Thought you might want to see what happens after the rescue. They drove 3 hours to Helena through landscape that shifted from mountains to rolling plains and back to hills. Amy met them at a compound surrounded by high fences and multiple buildings. A sign read Montana Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. Welcome, Amy said, leading them through secure gates. We've been working with the 4 younger animals nonstop. Want to see the progress? The facility impressed Rel immediately. Clean, spacious enclosures designed to mimic natural habitats. Humans monitored each animal through cameras and observation windows. Medical equipment filled a dedicated veterinary wing. Everything spoke of significant resource investment. Amy brought them to an observation room overlooking a large outdoor enclosure. 2 of the wolf hybrids rested in the shade of artificial rock formations. A third paced the perimeter fence line. The 4th sat near the fence closest to the observation window. That's the youngest female, Amy explained. She was the most malnourished when you found her. Now look, the animal's coat had regained some luster. Her eyes looked clearer, more alert. She no longer showed the desperate fear Rel had seen during the rescue. A door opened in the enclosure, and a human entered carrying a bucket. The wolf hybrid's ears perked up, but she did not flee or attack. Instead, she watched the human with cautious interest. That's David. He's been her primary handler, Amy said. Watch what happens. David sat down cross-legged in the dirt, still several meters from the animal. He pulled food from the bucket and set it on the ground, then waited. The hybrid approached slowly, every muscle ready to bolt. She snatched the food and retreated quickly. David did not move. He simply sat there, patient and still. The hybrid ate, watching him constantly. Then, incredibly, she took 2 steps closer, not to the food, but to the human. That's the first voluntary approach she's made, Amy said quietly. 3 days ago, she wouldn't let anyone within 10 meters. Now she's choosing to reduce the distance herself. That's trust beginning to form. They spent an hour watching David work with the animal. Each interaction followed the same pattern. Patience, consistency, no sudden movements, gradual progress measured in tiny increments. How long before she can be placed in a home? Dr. Mira asked. Months at minimum. Maybe a year, Amy replied. Wolf hybrids require experienced handlers and very specific living situations. We're already screening potential adopters, but we won't release her until we're absolutely certain she'll be safe and cared for properly. The next stop was a different facility entirely. Roy drove them to a children's hospital in Billings. Rel felt uncomfortable immediately. Sick younglings disturbed him on an instinctive level. Any species that could not protect its young was doomed. But humans walked these halls with calm purpose. They had entire buildings dedicated to healing their most vulnerable. A woman named Patricia met them in the lobby. She wore colorful clothing covered in animal images and carried a leash. At the end of the leash walked a large dog, calm and gentle despite its size. This is Ranger, Patricia introduced. He's one of our therapy dogs. Former rescue case from 5 years ago. Found him starving in a parking lot, afraid of all humans. Now he helps our patients every day. They followed her to a ward where young humans received treatment for various illnesses. Ranger moved from bed to bed, allowing children to pet him, resting his head on their small hands, providing comfort through simple presence. One child, hairless from medical treatments, hugged Ranger and cried into his fur. The dog stood perfectly still, absorbing the youngling's pain without judgment. Animals give these kids something we can't, Patricia explained. Unconditional acceptance. No pity, no fear, just companionship. Studies show therapy animals reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and improve treatment outcomes. Ranger saves lives by simply being here. Rel watched a predator species rescue another predator species, rehabilitate it, and then deploy it to heal sick younglings. The circular nature of the compassion made his analytical mind struggle to find categories. That evening, they returned to Timber Ridge for a community gathering. Humans filled the town hall to hear updates on the rescue operation. Phil presented a detailed report with images and data. All 9 animals are accounted for and receiving care, he announced, for an active rehabilitation. 2 at educational facilities. 3 were humanely euthanized after full veterinary assessment confirmed they were beyond help. The room fell silent for a moment. Several humans bowed their heads. Rel recognized the gesture as a mark of respect for the deceased. The breeder faces trial next month, Roy added. Maximum sentences for all charges. He won't be able to harm animals again. Applause filled the hall. Not celebration of violence, but satisfaction that justice would be served. After the meeting, Rel found himself in conversation with Grace, the elderly bed and breakfast owner. She had lived in Timber Ridge for 70 years and remembered when humans still hunted wolves as pests. We were wrong about so many things, she said softly. Thought predators were just killers to be eliminated. Took us decades to understand that every creature has a role, even the dangerous ones. Now we protect what we once destroyed. What changed? Rel asked. Grace smiled. We did. Humans can change, Ambassador. That's our real strength. We learn from mistakes and become something better. Takes time, and we still mess up plenty, but we try. Later that night, Rel composed another report. He included footage of David working with a traumatized wolf hybrid, images of Ranger comforting sick children, data on the rehabilitation success rates and resource investments involved. His conclusions summarized everything he had learned. Humans possess all the traits of apex predators. Forward-facing eyes for tracking, persistence for endless pursuit, pack coordination for complex operations. But they have redirected these traits toward protection rather than consumption. They hunt poachers with the same intensity their ancestors hunted prey. They pursue rehabilitation with predatory focus. They have become predators who protect the vulnerable, including creatures that threaten them. This appears to be a deliberate cultural choice maintained across their global civilization. I recommend full council review of their application for membership. He sent the report and allowed himself to feel something he had not expected when he arrived on Earth. Hope that humans might teach the galaxy something new about what predators could choose to become. The council chamber looked different when Rel entered for his final presentation. Word had spread about the human assessment. Every seat was filled with additional delegates standing along the walls. Even species that rarely attended general sessions had sent representatives. The head counselor gestured for silence, and the chamber obeyed immediately. Ambassador Rel has returned from Earth with his final report on human suitability for galactic membership, the ancient Vorth announced. We will hear his findings. Rel activated the holographic display. Earth appeared first, then footage from Timber Ridge. The council watched in silence as the rescue operation unfolded. 300 humans coordinating to save 9 suffering animals. Tactical precision applied to healing rather than killing. Humans are predators, Rel began simply. This fact cannot be disputed. Every biological marker confirms it. Forward-facing eyes, persistence hunting capabilities, pack coordination instincts. Their entire evolutionary history is written in predatory adaptation. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Several delegates nodded with satisfaction, assuming rejection was coming. However, Rel continued, humans have done something unprecedented in our galactic records. They have chosen to weaponize their predatory nature against suffering itself. The hologram shifted to show David working with a traumatized wolf hybrid, then Ranger comforting sick children, then humans protesting outside facilities that mistreated animals. Conservation efforts protecting species from extinction. Dr. Mira stepped forward to present her scientific analysis. Human empathy appears to function differently than in other species we have studied. They extend protective instincts not only to their own offspring, but to other species entirely, even species that pose direct threats to their safety and resources. They waste resources on creatures that provide no benefit, someone called from the back. They invest resources in beings that cannot repay them, Dr. Mira corrected. This behavior appears irrational from a pure survival standpoint. But humans operate under what they call ethics and morality, abstract frameworks that override basic survival instincts. Rel showed footage of the human breeder being arrested. When members of their own species violate these ethical frameworks, humans hunt them with the same intensity they once hunted prey. They have developed complex legal systems specifically to protect the vulnerable from exploitation. One criminal facing justice does not prove systemic change, the head counselor observed. True, Rel agreed. He pulled up new data. So I researched their global civilization. Earth has over 7,000 registered animal sanctuaries and rehabilitation centers. Millions of humans volunteer at these facilities. Their governments spend billions of currency units annually on wildlife conservation. They have outlawed hunting of endangered species and established massive protected territories where no development is allowed. The numbers scrolled across the display. The scale of human commitment to protecting other species was staggering. They still consume other creatures for food, someone pointed out. Yes, Dr. Mira acknowledged. But they have also developed alternative food sources that do not require killing. Many humans choose vegetarian or vegan lifestyles. Others advocate for ethical treatment of food animals. Their civilization actively debates these questions and implements changes based on evolving ethical understanding. Rel showed his final piece of evidence, a map of Earth highlighting conflict zones and military deployments. Human warfare has decreased dramatically over the past century despite population growth and resource pressures. They have established international laws governing armed conflict, rules protecting civilians, prisoners, and non-combatants. They prosecute their own soldiers for war crimes. They have created a global organization dedicated to preventing conflicts and promoting cooperation. The United Nations has prevented all wars, the head counselor asked skeptically. No, Rel admitted. Humans still fight. But they have reduced the scale and frequency of violence while increasing cooperation on global challenges. Climate change, disease, disaster response. They coordinate across political boundaries to address threats to their entire species. Observer Quinn stepped forward with a security assessment. During our time on Earth, we observed no signs of aggression toward alien species. Humans showed curiosity and hospitality. They answered questions honestly, including uncomfortable ones about their predatory nature. When given opportunities to exploit our presence, they instead focused on learning and cooperation. Hess added his own observations. Their law enforcement prevented several attempts by criminal elements to approach us for illegal purposes. Human authorities protected us as they would protect their own citizens. The council chamber fell silent as delegates processed the information. Rel could see the internal struggle on many faces. Accepting humans meant accepting predators into galactic society. But rejecting them meant denying partnership with a species that might teach valuable lessons about compassion and change. The head counselor spoke slowly, choosing words carefully. Your report suggests humans have fundamentally altered their species' nature through cultural evolution, that they have chosen cooperation and protection over conquest and consumption. I believe they are still choosing, Rel said. Every day, every individual human makes decisions about what kind of predator to be. Most choose to protect. Their civilization has built systems that reward protection and punish exploitation. This creates a feedback loop that reinforces compassionate behavior. What happens when those systems fail, someone asked. The same thing that happens when any civilization's systems fail, Rel replied. Harm occurs, but humans acknowledge their failures, study them, and implement corrections. They learn. They adapt. That capacity for change may be their greatest strength. The vote was called. Rel watched as delegates considered their positions. Some voted immediately for acceptance. Others showed visible reluctance, but eventually agreed. A few voted against, unable to overcome their fear of predatory species. The final tally appeared on the central display. 78 in favor, 12 against, 3 abstentions. Humanity had earned full membership in galactic society. The announcement was transmitted to Earth immediately. Rel requested permission to deliver the news personally and was granted it. He returned to Timber Ridge 1 month later. The town celebrated with characteristic human enthusiasm. Food, music, and genuine joy at being accepted by the larger galactic community. Roy raised a glass of something called whiskey in a toast. To new friendships, he said simply. Rel raised his own glass. To predators who chose a better path. Beth found him later that evening, watching human children play with several rescued dogs in the town square. Healthy, happy creatures that had been saved from suffering by determined humans. "What will you tell them about us?" she asked quietly. Rel considered the question. The truth, that humans are dangerous in the best possible way. Dangerous to anyone who threatens the weak or vulnerable. Dangerous to suffering and injustice. Dangerous to anyone who thinks predators cannot change. Beth smiled. That's not a bad reputation to have. As Rel prepared to leave Earth, Roy gave him one final message. If the galaxy ever faces a threat that needs hunting down, call us. We're very good at pursuing things until we catch them. What if the threat is not something that can be caught? Rel asked. Roy's smile was fierce. Then we'll pursue it anyway. That's what we do. We never stop trying to make things better. Flying away from Earth, Rel looked down at the blue planet that had changed his understanding of what predators could be. Somewhere down there, humans were rescuing animals, healing sick children, protecting forests, hunting criminals, building better systems, and choosing compassion over cruelty. The galaxy had gained allies who hunted with predatory precision and protected with boundless determination. And Rel suspected the universe would never be the same.